Waikiki. And I don't tell you that, you know, to brag on him. I tell you that because I really believe he would say his success began when he became a U.S. Marine. And the rest of it sort of flowed from there. So it is truly a privilege to introduce a great Marine, a great friend of the Marine Corps, a great American, and a personal friend, Patrick Brent.
Aloha.
Aloha.
Master,
Aloha.
that was just the way I wrote it.
It was.
Really great.
I left 2 pieces out. You want me to put them in?
Not now. The man with the mic last. The 5,000 miles from home. Here I am in Greenville for the first time. And I asked myself why. This is one charming, really nice city with great people. And I'm here also because there was 2 new books come out this last few months. Short Rations and What About the 13th Commandant. And I'll be back next year, hopefully, and I'll expect each and every one of you to have read those books. Look at me. Look into my eyes. I want each and every one to read those books. I'll expect a book report. While you're looking around, look at this room. Think about that color guard and these Marines. This is a classy place. This is one of those few places you could arrive and get intoxicated just on atmosphere, right here. A couple years ago, a Marine named Ray Smith, many of you probably heard of, said to me that when our 13th Commandant created that birthday message, he had no idea that someday we would have these lavish affairs. And he had no idea that we'd be accompanied in these affairs with probably the most charming and attractive women on planet Earth.
Amen.
Captain Hugh Poston's here. He's part of Fire Team 1, secret mission. Hugh told me that you better not come to a birthday ball without a good sea story. Did you say that? Right. And then I was asking Colonel Vogt just how. He said to me, what's the definition of a good sea story? Does anyone know that? Anyone know the definition of a good sea story? Well, I'll tell you. A good sea story is one that doesn't lie. So tonight I have 2 short sea stories. Both time machines. One goes way back in the past, and one goes into the future. It goes in the year 2050. A little town called Landrum, South Carolina. We have a really senior old Marine general, and he's got his red tractor made by International Harvester in Chicago. He's plowing along his fence line here. And remember, this guy's 2050, he's a pretty senior guy. He's kind of crumpled up. Not the guy he used to be. So he's crumpled up on his tractor, he's going along, and all of a sudden there's this big bang. And a bird comes out of the sky and falls right between the fence line and the tractor. And all of a sudden, marching along the road is this huge, 6'4", about a 30-year-old dude with one of those, you know, Abercrombie, those dude things with the shotgun shells and all, a big shotgun. And he looks at this grizzled up old general, I think his neighbors call him Maston. He looks at him and he says, hey, old timer, that bird's mine. Come over to get it. The old general says, I'm afraid not, Sonny. Here in South Carolina, it's on my land. It's my bird. The old guy says, you know who I am? I'm Sal Leibowitz. I'm the meanest, toughest lawyer in New York State. If I don't get that bird, I'm going to sue you up one side of your body and down the other. Well, the old general, the general looks up and says, you know, son, here in the Carolinas, we have a different way of handling litigation. We don't do all that lawyering stuff. Oh yeah, what's that? So the old general says, we have another way. How does it work? He said, well, in South Carolina, we have the 3-kick rule. Yeah, 3-kick rule. And the guy says, well, tell me about it. The general says, well, here's how it works. You come over to the fence here. I kick you 3 times. You kick me 3 times. And it goes back and forth, and the loser loses the bird. So, yes, looks at this crumpled up old, wrinkled, 97-odd-year-old guy says, no sweat. Comes over to the fence, and then all of a sudden, this general gets off the red tractor with the all faded red with 2 silver stars on it. He gets off, and all of a sudden, he looks like a 30-year-old Marine. He's got his utility trousers and boots and a green t-shirt. Looks pretty squared away. All of a sudden, he gets kind of invigorated. And this dude comes over. The old general walks up to him. He takes his right boot, and he plants it, boom, right dead center where the Missouri and the Mississippi meet. The guy crumples up. Then the general walks around and smacks him right in the calf. And the guy hits the deck. General takes his time, walks around, slam right in the ribs. This lawyer guy's like, he's really suffering. Didn't have to do it. He's really suffering. So he goes, finally, after a couple minutes, he drags himself over the fence and pulls himself up. And he gets, he's up to his wind comes back. He looks at the general and he says, okay, my turn. General turns back towards his red tractor and says, nah, that's okay, you keep the bird. This brings us to this is the represents the expression once a Marine. A couple years ago, I was with another Marine named Ron Christmas. He said to me that when a young man or woman goes into Quantico or Paris Island, the only boot camp, there's some mystical force that tears open their chest cavity, and a hot iron goes in there, and it brands an eagle, globe, and anchor on their heart forever. Now, my last sea story, time machine goes back to the year 1901, 1900. An Irish immigrant family from County Donegal, Ireland, comes to New York City, works in the grocery business, does do well. He goes out to Montana. They have a young man. It's a struggling family, and they find a young man just to keep things going. He's age 14. World War I is coming on, and he joins the U.S. Navy. The same young man serves in the Navy, comes out, immediately joins the U.S. Army, American Army. Serves it, hitched in the Army, gets out, comes back to Montana, and he sees the light, the great light. On 1920, 10 November, he joins the U.S. Marine Corps, serves in the Philippines, insurrection, does a fine job, comes back to Montana. He's had virtually no schooling. He marries an Irish gal named Maureen, who helps him out. They study really hard. He becomes a miner. Tough life. Finally gets enough education that he passes the test for the University of Montana. Gets his bachelor's degree, his master's degree, teaches for 10 years. Then he gets elected to the House of Congress. 7 terms. In fact, the Douglas Mansfield Act, that gave 3 air wings and 3 divisions, and gave the Marine Corps parity with the Joint Chiefs of Staff, was created by him. Goes to the Senate, serves 24 years in the Senate, creates and gets the Equal Rights Amendment passed. Well, this man, after all these years, retires, but America's not finished with him. He's respected by both sides. He's made ambassador to Japan for 12 years. Anybody here from Japan? 12 years, he was ambassador to Japan. And he's one of the most respected ambassadors in America's history. They built a monument for him there. Finally comes home at the age of 85, but America's not finished. Both sides wanted him a White House advisor, or a roving diplomat. Extraordinary man. Finally, in 2001, at at the age of 98. He dies. Obituary, 1901, 1903, 2001, Michael Joseph Mansfield. Now this extraordinary man, remember all three branches, Congress, Senate, ambassador, really credentialed. He could have been buried anywhere he wanted. Monument, Montana, up there in Arlington with the eternal flame, any place he wanted. But where was he buried? He was buried in Section 2, marker 49, an obscure area with the same marker as everybody else there at Arlington National Cemetery. What did it say in that marker? It said, simple marker, it said, Michael Joseph Mansfield, Private, U.S. Marines. As the general mentioned, I've been around some of today's real Marines, and I have to tell you, I'm impressed at today's Marines. I think they're the best we ever had, far better than when I was there. I often wonder if I wore the same fabric. And when I go places like I attend board meetings or I go to several schools where I lecture, I've had several young people ask me where one would learn leadership. And they don't really like the answer, so I give it to them as fast as I can. I didn't learn leadership in any college 101 course. I learned leadership 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, at a little island off the coast of South Carolina. I learned it from every NCO and officer I met. Why? Because they were immersed in a culture of excellence, founded on virtue and discipline. Now I'd like to ask everybody here to join me in hoisting their glass to 238 years of romping, stomping United States Marines. Semper Fi.
Semper Fi.
I told you, Master. Last on the mic, I got it.